Hello guys, good morning everybody. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Tell me I'm audible or not. Audible. Okay. All right. Tell me whether this PDF is visible to you guys. Yes, it is visible to you, right? So I have a little bit fever today. So I will try to see, right? I would be speaking very slowly, but let's hope I'm able to complete and we have a good analysis session, right? Okay, so my voice will be a little bit slow. Please cope up with that, right, for today. Okay, now this is a very interesting article. It is related to Himachal Pradesh High Court stays inclusion of Hatis. I hope I am pronouncing it correct. Hatis on ST list. Now, Himachal Pradesh government had issued directions to implement the inclusion of Hatis in the scheduled tribe list, but the Himachal Pradesh High Court has stayed the inclusion of the community, and they have given a letter and also tell the government that they shall hold it for its implementation till March. The judges noted that there had been certain manifest arbitrariness and glaring unconstitutionality in including SCs, OBCs, and dominant caste communities as part of Hati community in the ST list, despite continued recommendations from the Office of Registrar General of India to exclude them. Right? So, this is the important news over here. So, there could be this particular article or this particular prelims fact that could be asked related to Hatis, right? So, we have to understand that Hatis has been included in the scheduled tribe list by the Himachal Pradesh government. I hope this point is clear to everybody, right? Okay. Moving to the next part. ठीक है, आज ज्यादातर न्यूज ऐसी ही हैं if we talk about, right? So these are interesting news. Now this is very interesting and important news. Rashmi Shukla is Maharashtra's first woman DGP. You can use this in your answers of women empowerment as well, right? Women's involvement in police forces. You can use over there these type of news. Now moving to the next part. Now this is again another news. 10th century Kadamba inscription written in Kannada and Sanskrit found in Goa. So an inscription written in Kannada and Sanskrit and said to be of 10th century AD Kadamba period has been discovered in the Mahadev temple at Kagoda in southern Goa. Now the inscription opens with an auspicious saying, "Be it well." That means Swasth Shri, and records that when Talara Navya was administrating the mandal, his son Gundaya, having taken a vow to fulfill his father's desire of capturing a Gopura of the port of Goa, fought and died after fulfilling his father's wish. Very interestingly, the record is composed as a vocal statement on the death of his son from the mouth of a lamenting father. It is in the literary style of Talangare inscription of Jai Simha, one of the same period, right? So this type of question you can see in your AMC examination as well. तो ये देख लेना एक बारी, very very interesting and very very important. As you can see over here, this is the inscription that has been found at the Mahadev temple at Kagoda in southern Goa. So these type of questions can be asked in the examination as well, right? Okay. Moving to the next part. Now, this is a certain different, let's say, changes that have been made by Election Commission. Election Commission brought in new rules for the allocation of symbols to registered unrecognized political parties. So this is a new terminology that has been given in this article, that is registered unrecognized political parties. Now I will tell you later on what are these registered unrecognized political parties, but first of all, what are the new rules that have been brought in for the allocation of symbols? That is, they have made it mandatory for these RUPP, that is registered unrecognized political parties, to furnish the audited account of last 3 financial years. कि उनको अपने audited accounts बताने पड़ेंगे last 3 financial years के. Expenditure statement of the last 2 elections, this is also very important, and the signature of the authorized office bearer of the party along with the application form for symbols. Now, these are the certain changes that have been brought in by Election Commission of India, and these new rules would be coming into effect from January 11. Now, what are these registered unrecognized political parties? These are newly registered parties who have not secured enough percentage of votes in the assembly or general election to become a state party. This is very, very important point. Or those who have never contested elections after being registered. Common symbols are provided to RUPPs based upon an undertaking that they would put up at least 5% of total candidates with regard to said legislative assembly election of a state. Now, these are the certain terms and these are the certain new rules that we need to know, and this is the term that we have to understand about registered unrecognized political parties. And we have seen in UPSC prelims the questions that are coming now in examination are mainly related to these part topics, right? जो थोड़े sideline के topics होते हैं हम थोड़े छोड़ देते हैं इन topics को, but generally we have seen these type of questions are being asked in the examination as well. तो RUPPs एक बार फिर से देख लो क्या होती हैं. These are newly registered parties, those who haven't contested any election, plus they haven't won enough or secured percentage of votes in the assembly, in the state legislative assembly or in the general election to Lok Sabha, so that they could be recognized as a state party. I hope this point is clear to everybody. अगर क्लियर है तो एक बार यस टाइप कर दीजिए. और एक बार नए रूल्स क्या है कि उनको ऑडिटेड अकाउंट्स देने पड़ेंगे लास्ट 3 फाइनेंशियल ईयर के, एक्सपेंडिचर स्टेटमेंट्स देनी पड़ेंगी, और साथ ही साथ they have to provide the signature of the office bearer of the party along with the application form for the symbols, right? Okay, now moving to the next part. This is very interesting. Union Corporation Minister urged farmers to cultivate pulses on a large scale to reduce dependency on imports. He assured them that the two cooperatives, NAFED and NCCF, would produce at a minimum support price or the market price. Now, this is very interesting, right? Though our Home Minister has also inaugurated a Tur Dal procurement portal through which farmers can register and sell their produce to NAFED and NCCF. A similar facility will be launched in the future for Urad and Masoor farmers as well as maize farmers. He also transferred direct benefit transfer about 68 lakh to 25 farmers towards payment for the sale of tur via the portal. Now, this is very interesting because what we have seen is कि हमारा import बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहा है pulses का, right? So, in order to reduce the imports, एक बार दोबारा RUPP. डोंट वरी कार्तिक, आई विल रिपीट दैट, डोंट वरी. तो एक बार पहले ये देख लेते हैं. व्हाट वी हैव सीन इज कि हमारा दालों का इंपोर्ट बहुत बढ़ता जा रहा है. बिकॉज हमारा दालों का इंपोर्ट बड़ा बढ़ता जा रहा है, सो देयर हैज बीन अ पोर्टल दैट हैज बीन लॉन्च फॉर द प्रोक्योरमेंट फॉर इट, सो दैट फार्मर्स कैन रजिस्टर and on the portal and sell their produce through NAFED and NCCF that will procure them at a minimum support price or the market price. Now, this is the important point that we have to understand in this context, and he has said that the similar facility would be available in the market for the urad dal and the masoor farmer as well as for the maize farmers as well. Now, this is very, very important and very, very interesting. Why I'm saying this is very, very important? Because these are the type of questions that could be asked in the examination as well, in the prelims as well as in the mains as well, and this builds your narrative as well over a point of view. Because let's say you are facing an interview, आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया जाता है कि हमारे देश में बहुत सारे इंपोर्ट्स होते हैं कंसिडरेबली, लेट्स से इन रिलेशन टू फूड आर्टिकल्स, सो हाउ वी कैन रिड्यूस दैट. सो यू कैन मेंशन दीज पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट्स, जिससे क्या हो सकता है आपके आर्ग्यूमेंट्स को वेटेज मिलती है जब आपको इस तरह की न्यूज पता होती है. और इस तरह की जब आप न्यूज मेंस के आंसर्स में लिखते हो फॉर एग्जांपल के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, तो आपको और एक्स्ट्रा नंबर्स फेच हो जाते हैं, क्योंकि आपने एक लाइव एग्जांपल क्या कर दिया, यहाँ पे पेश कर दी है अपने एग्जामिनर के सामने कि मुझे पता है कि इंपोर्ट्स कम तो करने हैं, पर उसको करने के लिए क्या किया जा रहा है. देयर हैव बीन सर्टेन इनिशिएटिव्स दैट हैव बीन टेकन. व्हाट काइंड ऑफ इनिशिएटिव्स? लाइक दिस तुर दाल प्रोक्योरमेंट प्रोटोकॉल. आई होप दिस पॉइंट इज क्लियर टू एवरीबॉडी. नाउ Kartike had a doubt related to registered unrecognized political parties. See, the parties are RUPPs, right? Registered unrecognized political parties. Now, why are they called as RUPPs? जिनको वो पार्टीज बोला जाता है कि रजिस्टर तो करवा लिया, but they haven't won enough voting or they haven't secured enough votes in the assembly or the general elections to become a state party. All right? और लेटर ऑन तो नेशनल पार्टी तो लग की बात है, स्टेट पार्टी के लिए भी इतना उन्होंने नहीं किया है. दूसरा, they have never contested election after being registered. So means is कि अगर आपने registration करवाई है पर आपको recognition क्यों नहीं मिल रही है, because you haven't been able to contest the elections or you haven't been able to secure the votes in the assembly elections. So that is basically what is all about RUPPs. And for these RUPPs, in order to allocate certain symbols, ठीक है, इनको सिंबल्स भी मिलते होते हैं, तो सिंबल्स के लिए अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं जो प्रोवाइड किए जाते हैं, उसके लिए इनको अपने लिए जो रूल्स हैं उनको चेंज किया गया है. So this is a point we have to understand, right? So this was the important news related to, first one was related to this RUPP, second one was related to Turdal Procurement Protocol. Sorry, Procurement Portal, right? Okay. Now, moving to the next part. Now, this is very, very interesting. Ministry of Education has launched Prerna. Very important, right? Prerna program start kiya hai. That is an experiential learning program that will operate from the vernacular school, that is from our Pradhan Mantri's birthplace, Vadnagar, Gujarat, where he had studied. It will be a weekly residential program. Very important. It will be a weekly residential program that will host 20 students, 10 boys and 10 girls from across the country on a rotational basis in the town. The program, which has the best in class technology, where heritage meets innovation, caters to students from class 9 to 12. Students can register through portal that has been given, prerna.education.gov.in, where applicants can fill in the requisite details to be a part of the program. The day-wise program schedule will feature yoga, mindfulness, followed by hands-on interesting learning activities. Now this is very, very interesting thing that has been started. It is a kind of, we can say, experiential learning program where it will be a weekly residential program जहाँ पे 20 students को rotational basis पे हर हफ्ते बुलाया जाएगा from class 9 to class 12, so that they can be able to enjoy a various different types of learnings, like it has been mentioned over here, like yoga, mindfulness, followed by interesting learning activities. Now these are the type of things that you can mention and write in your answers when it talks about how we can leverage the education system in India, how we can take it from a theoretical base to practical base. So these are the type of examples you can mention it over here, because it has been launched at the Pradhan Mantri's school where he had studied. So this becomes very, very important. That is this Prerna initiative. I hope you are able to understand this, because this can be a direct question that could be asked in the exam. What is Prerna initiative related to? So you need to understand it is related to education and it has been launched by Ministry of Education. I hope this point is clear to everybody, right? Okay. Now this article, I think इसके बारे में सबको पता ही है कि last year we had started our Aditya L1 mission, that was to place the our Aditya mission and to put our satellites into this particular L1 spacecraft into in the our orbit around L1, right? So it is India's first space-based observatory to study the sun, and it was launched from Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota. Subsequently, ISRO in Bengaluru carried out 4 earthbound maneuvers between September 3rd and September 15 last year. Now, when we talk about Lagrange point 1, it is about 1.5 million kilometer from Earth, and distance of L1 from the planet is approximately 1% of the Earth's sun distance. So these are the things that we have to understand. And when we talk about Aditya L1, it has a mission life of 5 years. This is also the other point we have to understand. And when we talk about Aditya L1, it carries 7 payloads to observe the photosphere, chromosphere, and the outermost layers of the sun using electromagnetic and particle detectors. So these are the type of questions that could be asked into the examination that you have to be aware of about ISRO, right? मैं एक बार फिर से रिपीट कर देता हूं ताकि आपको एक बार फिर से समझ में आ जाए. आदित्य L1 मिशन हमारा लैग्रेंजियन पॉइंट पे पहुंचने वाला है. First of all, this is very interesting and very good news. It was the first Indian space-based observatory to study the sun. Second important article. Third important article news is that L1 is about 1.5 million kilometers from the Earth, right? This is the third important news over here. Fourth important news is related to when we talk about Aditya L1 mission, that it carries 7 payloads to observe photosphere, chromosphere, and the outermost layers of the sun using electromagnetic and particle detectors. This is the fourth important news. And the fifth one is related to that when we talk about Aditya L1, it has a mission life of how many years? It has a mission life of 5 years. I hope you are able to understand these two news. Very, very important. One was related to Prerna program. Second one is ISRO perform करेगा another क्रूशियल मनूवर, जहां पे जो मेन हमारा मिशन था, जहां पे हमने आदित्य L1 मिशन, जो नाम से ही पता चल रहा है, वी हैव टू पुट इट इनटू लैग्रेंजियन 1 ऑर्बिट. आई होप दिस पॉइंट इज क्लियर टू एवरीबॉडी. ओके, नाउ मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट. ठीक है, यहाँ पे कुछ ऐसा इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, आर्टिकल्स में ये इतने इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है. हम डायरेक्टली इस आर्टिकल पे आएंगे जो कि बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है. इट इज रिलेटेड टू हायर एजुकेशन. Now there are certain questions that have been put forward in this format, and let's try to understand what are the things that have been discussed over here. Now first question is related to, we have seen that there has been a lot of scale of unemployment that has been visible in the students who are, let's say, जिन्होंने graduation करी है, या those who are have done post graduation. Now this was one of the news as well related to unemployment data that we had studied few days earlier, that there have been certain reports कि हमारे देश में जो unemployment है overall वैसे कम हुई है, but अगर हम जो post graduation है, जहां पे हम देख रहे हैं कि कुछ sectors में जहां पे अच्छे बच्चे तो नहीं, जहां पे बच्चों ने क्या किया है, students have what we can say, they have pursued higher graduation, they are not able to get the jobs. So what are the reasons for that? That is the questions that are being asked. Do you remember this article that we had discussed that day, that was related to this aspect only, that students are not able to find jobs who have done post graduation, right? Hanji, tell me yes or no quickly. Yes, okay. Now, one of the question that has been put forward over here is why they are not able to get the jobs. Is it because of online learning? Is it because of the situations that were there in COVID, जिसकी वजह से ये problem आई, या आज के time पे there are a lot of online courses that are available that has impacted the employability of the students who have done their graduation or post graduation. Now, the big question that has been asked and how they are trying to respond to it, let's try to understand. Now, one of the viewpoint is, when we see before COVID itself or before the online boom, we had certain problem with their educational system, and that is structural. What they are trying to say over here is, a major reason why there has not been transition of, let's say, getting the education and finding the jobs is because of the massification of higher education between 2006 and 2018. Now, what do we understand by massification? Because of this, number of private colleges grew, quality deteriorated. State government, central government, and the UGC did not have the capacity to regulate them. The universities just became exam giving institutions. Online education is an additional problem. Now, this is the point we have to understand. You must have seen in your nearby areas where between 2006 and 2018 there were a lot of new colleges that were coming up, universities were coming up, they are offering courses in engineering, a lot of students pursued engineering, right? As a result, they just became exam giving institutions. It resulted to massification. People were not able to find the jobs because they didn't have the required skills, as it has been clearly said by Fakiresh, right? So this is a point that we have to understand. Second thing we have to understand is, yes, it was before online boom, but there is another viewpoint is, online learning has also created and propounded this problem. How? Now we have let's say a lot of students we have seen, that you might have seen in your peers as well, that they have said कि sir हमने क्या किया, पेपर दे तो दिए, but what we have done is we had, मतलब सबको ही पता है how they have given the examination in online boom, right? How it is easy for you to give the exams online, right? So as a result, what are they are missing on? They are missing from the learning aspect, right? So this is the point we have to understand, and that it was a challenge to concentrate for them to long hours on screen as well. There were learning deficiencies, and that has affected the ability of these students to acquire knowledge and become more employable. So this is also one of the most important point that we have to understand. ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन से कंसंट्रेशन नहीं हुई, लर्निंग डेफिशिएंसी आई है, जिसकी वजह से उनकी एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी के ऊपर फर्क पड़ा है. सो दिस इज द वन पार्ट दैट वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. Second thing, that there has been certain structural problems that has been already there in our higher education sector. What are those structural problems? Let's try to understand. First, they are trying to say is, when we talk about our R&D expenditure as a proportion of GDP, it is only 0.7%. In Korea, it is 4%. First of all, so if our R&D is very much less in higher education, how we can say that we're gonna be getting more and more institutions, we will be getting more quality education? How will this new knowledge will be created? Secondly, private sector and the corporate sector account for 70% of total R&D expenditure overall, but when it comes to India, only 30% come from the government. In India, the public sector accounts for some of 70% of the R&D expenditure, and the private sector contribution is relatively small. So this is a second major problem that is with the higher education sector in India, कि यहाँ पे R&D के ऊपर पैसा तो कम खर्चा जा ही रहा है, बट उसके साथ साथ पब्लिक सेक्टर का ही ज्यादा कंट्रीब्यूशन है, प्राइवेट सेक्टर का इतना कंट्रीब्यूशन है ही नहीं है. थर्ड इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज, मोस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड में हमने देखा है जो रिसर्च होती है वो यूनिवर्सिटीज में होती है, एंड वेरी स्मॉल प्रपोर्शन ऑफ पब्लिक फंडिंग गोज टुवर्ड्स रिसर्च विद इन यूनिवर्सिटीज. मोस्ट ऑफ इट फ्रॉम गवर्नमेंट सोर्सेज गोज टुवर्ड्स काउंसिल ऑफ साइंटिफिक रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट्स. नाउ दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम दैट वी हैव इन इंडिया कि हमारे देश में जो रिसर्च है वो यूनिवर्सिटीज में नहीं हो रही है, वो गवर्नमेंट के सोर्सेज की तरफ हो रही है, जो किसके अंदर जा रही है, CISIR के अंदर जा रही है, इंडियन काउंसिल ऑफ मेडिकल रिसर्च के अंदर जा रही है. बिकॉज व्हाट द प्रॉब्लम व्हाट वी आर हैविंग इज the students are not getting enough funds, they are not getting enough funding to do the research in universities, and that is creating a lot of problem. Now how we can help to, or let's say what can be the future problem, a solution for this, we will try to understand. But the one thing that has been said, that has been a structural problem in India's case, is that our country doesn't have an industrial policy or a manufacturing strategy. This is basically leading to young educated researchers that are absorbed in high value services. So this is a point we have to understand कि लोग सर्विसेज सेक्टर में ज्यादा जा रहे हैं, बट क्योंकि हमारे देश में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग पॉलिसी नहीं है बहुत, अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं, जिसकी वजह से there is a lot of problems that are coming up. And finally, what can be the solution for this? Industrial training institutes, yes, they have been there, that have become a part, but they are getting also massified. So there is an issue of quality as well. And there has been recent changes that have been made in the national education policy, that we want to have a gross enrollment ratio in higher education from 27% to 50%. This is a bizarre goal, as the government has not increased allocations as to achieve this. So this is a point that they are trying to refer to. Rather than going for massification, you shall go for the quality. That is a problem that has been discussed over here. Second important thing is that we have to address the issues that are there in the higher education sector. So the most important thing that can be done is, if you want to do, you can divert students from class 10th and 12th directly to industrial training institutes and better vocational training institutes, and improve their quality by engaging with industries and employers. So this is the methodology, and this is the way that has been described over here, that can be implemented in the upcoming future, so that we are able to create a workforce that are job ready, that are employable. And we need to address the issues that are permanently there in the higher education system, like funding, like research, and these are the certain aspects that we have to understand, so that we are able to align it with industry. We have to see what the industry is demanding. That is how we have to adapt it and make it sure that we have such policies that are there in higher education sector, so that we are able to give them the study that is being required in their job skills that are being required when they are going to be employed. So this is the part that have been lacking, and this is a part that has to be addressed if we are seriously looking for making sure that we have students enrolling in higher education as well, plus the quality is also being maintained. So you cannot be just focusing on the numbers, that quantity बढ़ा लेंगे तो उससे सब कुछ हो जाएगा, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला, क्योंकि उससे देश में आपकी अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट ही बढ़ेगी. If you have to solve the problem, you would have to make sure that you are mixing these two things, quantity and quality. I hope this article is clear to everybody. If it is yes, type yes. Okay, so this was the important news we have over here, right? And then is a world page, right? Then we have deadly strikes hit Gaza, tensions rise in West Asia, 4 Hezbollah fighters killed in South Lebanon, Beijing condemns armed conflict on Myanmar border, right? So this is a great news coming. China, US hold rival drills in disputed South China Sea. So the tensions are brewing up between China and USA, right? President Biden plans to kick off poll year by taking a trip into US history. Okay. Now, private sector funding key to climate transition, World Bank chief says. Now, this is the most important point that we have to understand. Okay, when we talk about climate change, yes, financing has to be done from developed countries, but private sector has a great role to play. And World Bank has estimated developing countries will need an average of $2.4 trillion a year between now and 2030 to address the global challenges of climate change, conflict, and pandemics. The bank's lending commitments in the most recent financial year were less than $130 billion. Now, this is the point we have to understand, that if we are seriously looking कि हमें अपने climate change की problem को solve करना है, we have to meet the goals of Paris Agreement, that is to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degree or 2 degree. We have to make sure that we are able to get funding from private sector. Otherwise, if we will not be able to get funding, we will be just reliant on developed countries and the government sources, then it will not be enough, because the amount of funding that is being required, it has been predicted by World Bank as well, that we require an average of $2.4 trillion a year between now and 2030. Now, this is the point that you can directly add in your notes as well, that this is the amount that we need to have in order to address the issue. हाँ जी, यहां तक सभी को क्लियर है? And I think we are done for today, right? So this was it, guys. So thank you so much, and this is it for today. You have any doubt, you can ask me, and then I would be concluding my session. Right? So there were a lot of few small news that were very important. Prerna program. Sir, how to write answer in mains? It is very simple. Practice and practice. Right? This is how you can write. For writing the answer in mains, one of the most important thing you have to do is understand the question, what it is saying. Is it asking about describing, elucidating, enumerating, critically analyze? These are the keywords that you have to look into answer. Then accordingly, you have to frame your answer, right? So these are certain things you have to understand before you start writing the answers, right? So this is a point that you have to look forward. Hanji. Shall we end the session now, guys? कोई और डाउट है तो पूछ सकते हो. चलिए, थैंक यू सो मच गाइस. सी यू टुमारो सेम टाइम 9 AM. एंड होस्ट चलो ठीक है. थैंक यू सो मच गाइस. हाँ जी, रजत कुमार. यू वांट टू से समथिंग? मैंने तुम्हारे लिए स्ट्रीम एंड नहीं करी है. जल्दी पूछो. लेफ्ट विंग एंड राइट विंग. सी लेफ्ट विंग ये ना हमारे ना फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन से एसोसिएटेड है. जब हम लेफ्ट विंग की बात करते हैं, दोज हु वांट सर्टेन चेंज वुड वी कैन से इज द लेफ्ट विंग. दोज हु आर फंडामेंटलिस्ट लिटिल बिट वी कैन से दे आर राइट विंग. इतना तुम समझ सकते हो, राइट? जो चेंज चाहते हैं और जो चेंज नहीं चाहते हैं, वी कैन, अगर इफ वी हैव टू सम इन ग्लोबली, राइट, दैट इज लेफ्ट विंग एंड राइट विंग. लेफ्ट विंग हो गए जैसे कि थोड़े से सोशलिज्म की तरफ थे जो है ना, वो उनको हम लेफ्ट विंग की कैटेगरी में डाल देते हैं. जब हम इंडियन हिस्ट्री पढ़ते हैं फॉर इंडिपेंडेंस, देन ये लॉट ऑफ लेफ्ट विंग और ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस दैट स्टार्टेड टू कम अप, कांग्रेस, सोशलिस्ट पार्टी, राइट? सो उस हिसाब से हम बोलते हैं. चलिए, थैंक यू सो मच गाइस, टेक केयर, बाय बाय.